The next step, now that we have our cable, is to connect it to something. Notice that the terminal strip has no terminals present. We can add virtual terminals to this component. Here, we can insert the number of terminals we wish to see by selecting this button and entering the number of terminals that we want. In this case, I know I need 3 terminals because I have 3 conductors. And now I see 3 terminals listed. The other component, S1, is an emergency stop button, which also will need 3 terminals. Right now, I have not selected a component from the manufacturer's database, which is typically the workflow, but we are going to address in a future lesson. We can, however, at this point in time, add virtual circuits. We can click the virtual circuits button and tell it how many terminals and circuits we have. I will go ahead and add a new element by hitting the plus sign, and we will see a listing of the types of circuits that are available for the type of component that we used. For an emergency stop button, it produces a list of these objects that you see here. If these do not match the criteria that I'm looking for, I can click More Circuit Types, and it will present to us the full list of circuit types that SOLIDWORKS Electrical provides. I can go back to the previous types of circuits from the classification of the object at the bottom here, and it gives me a more simple list. In this case, I'm going to use the miscellaneous type circuit, telling it that I have 1 circuit with 3 total terminals. And I will say OK. And I will see 3 terminals on the screen. To connect my wires to the terminals, simply select the cell next to the wire. In this case, I want to connect the green wire to terminal 1 on the terminal strip. Notice that they both are highlighted with a single click, and I can choose the Connect button at the top of the screen. This can also be done by a drag and drop operation. I can select more than 1 cell by a click and drag, and then drag and drop from the top cell to the cell that matches the terminal strip in this case. And now we have formed our connections, showing that we have 1 wire entering the terminal. We can get details of the terminal strip here by choosing the Edit Terminal Strip button. A terminal strip symbol produces a special object that allows us to edit the details of the terminal strip in a simple user interface. As you can see, it displays the cable and conductors coming into the terminal strips and the mark numbers of the terminals. The system defaults to marking the terminals with sequential numbers 1, 2, 3. The next time I add another terminal, it will make it 4. However, I can change this here in this interface. Right-clicking on each of the marks here gives me the option to renumber the object. I can select all of them here as well. So I will do a selection, just clicking and dragging to select marks 1 through 3, choosing to renumber them. So I'll have it start at 10 and increment by 10. If I close this out, you will see that has updated here in my detailed cabling manager. Also, we need to connect to circuits on the other side. So I'll select these first 2 here and drag and drop them. And I'll select these 2 objects and hit the connect button since they're easier to do that way. Now we have a complete connection on our object here. Let's go ahead and close this out and notice what the system has presented to us. It's created a cable called W1, and it calls out the part number that I chose from Belden for that cable with a description calling it 22 gauge. If I ever need to change this, I can right click on it and go back to detailed cabling, and I'm presented with this former menu. Another way of accessing detailed cabling information is to choose the Cables Manager on the Project tab. You will notice that I have a menu showing the name of my project and the cables that I've created. If you wish to change the name or description of the cable, you can do so here. I'm going to select W1 with the left mouse click and choose the Properties menu at the top of the screen. Here, I can give it a unique mark number, which it's automatically done for us, but I can give it a manual number if I wish. I can also add other properties to the cable at this point in time. For example, I might know the voltage drop, bend radius, diameter. So I know the diameter of the cable is 5 millimeters. The bend radius is going to be 10 times the diameter of the cable. The length will be created for us as we route cables inside of SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D. So this is not necessary to update now. But if you happen to know you're buying a 6-foot cable, you could enter it here. If you want to perform voltage drop calculations, you will need to apply the check mark right here so that it will be available in reports later on. Let me choose OK and close this out.